Due to my father's work, we were constantly chasing after his jobs, sometimes spending only a few months in a single location. After my father got a new job in this small town, we moved into a rather nice house on a dead-end road. It was a large house with wood floors and a generally exceptional feel about it. Glad to have found a nice house in our price range, we didn't really think too much on why it was empty and why the landlords were willing to rent it out for such a very low cost. It would only take a few months before we found out for ourselves what was going on. The haunting started as just a feeling that we kids would get from time to time. At first, it was just a general sense of unease, but this quickly escalated. As time went by, we slowly transformed from simply thinking we were being watched to seeing forms in the corner of our vision. The feeling of being watched had spread into the night at this point, and few of us were able to get a full night's rest. This continued on until we began to see things much closer to the forefront of our vision, and we had started seeing dark forms in the night, scaring us to the point that we'd all sleep on the same bed for a weak sense of security. Then we found the reason for the haunting. My brother and I were cleaning up an old closet that we had simply dumped a bunch of our toys into after we moved in. The bottom of it had a small wall marking into something of a built-in toy chest. We finally had some boxes to hold our things and no longer needed to leave them in the closet. As we pulled out our things, we noticed that the carpet was loose. We were kids, and we were not very smart. Instead of telling our parents, we just pulled the carpet back, revealing something that none of us would ever forget. A tombstone. It was right there, with the name and dates already carved into it. Thinking there was someone buried in our closet, we quickly showed the tombstone to our parents. Thankfully, they decided to remove it from the house, and we thought that was it. But the haunting didn't stop. We started having nightmares and sick spells whenever we were alone in the house, and where it went from there was something a 7-year-old me couldn't understand. All I knew was fear, as I would awake at all hours of the night to see a dark figure standing over me, watching me sleep. I would cover my head in my sheets and pray to God to protect me. Usually it worked, but sometimes I would lower the sheet to see a dark, ghostly face now staring me in the eye, its face inches from my own. Soon, we were all seeing faces in the dark, and we stopped doing things on our own at night. We would share beds. We would never get up or do anything on our own, and often waking up whoever we were sleeping with to go to the bathroom or to get a drink of water. The final straw was the night I was foolishly walking around the house at night during a lightning storm. And as I was walking into my room, lightning flashed at just the right moment, and I saw a figure under my bed, staring at me with a grin that literally ran from ear to ear. Its needle-like teeth bared for me to see. I screamed in absolute terror, and it would take days for me to be willing to even play in my room again. We removed the bed frames and started sleeping with our mattresses on the floor for protection from whatever it was that I saw. But the nightmares and sightings continued. Thankfully, my father's job moved to a new location, and we were able to leave that house. In just 6 months, we went from happy to having such a nice home to wanting nothing more than to leave it behind. I will never forget that horror, and it has left permanent scars on my soul. Even to this day, almost 25 years later, I still have nightmares about living in that house. God only knows what monsters were there with us. And just saying this out loud has left my heart pounding, with the fear of that memory.